Welcome to the channel. I've actually got a very special guest with us today. My buddy Ben.
Not special.
He's the most special.
Not special.
All right, introduce yourself, Ben. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Ben Sassani Photographer out of Houston. Been shooting since 2009. Shoot everything from portraits, weddings, food.
A lot of food.
Nightscapes, a lot of food. That's about it.
So glad to have you, Ben. So I'll throw his socials up here, but speaking of, so we've been friends on Instagram for years, and finally we both happened to be out in the Big Bend region of Texas in March of this year.
I think it was March or April, yeah.
And it was like camera love at first sight. So,
yes, it was.
So we've had quite the year of just shooting out here, and then
I had a credit for my helicopter flights that I did in New York a couple of years ago, so it was about to run out.
Yeah,
I text her and I go, "You want to go?" And she had credits for airline, so we met up in New York 2 weeks ago. Before this video, we were hanging out of a helicopter with no doors on.
Wild.
In New York.
Wild
experience. Actually, it was the roughest one we've done because it was so windy and the storms were rolling. But the pictures came out amazing.
I think the pictures are spectacular.
Pictures came out amazing.
Needless to say, we talk a lot about cameras, right?
We do.
We've now traveled a good bit
we
together. We nerd out.
We nerd.
And I think if you've been around my channel a little while, you know that the Leica Q2 has become one of my staple everyday carry items. So today I thought it would be interesting to talk about, because I have the Q2, Ben has the Fuji's, and not just the X100V, right? So he's an OG.
The original.
So I thought it'd be fun for us to talk a little bit about his experience with the Fuji and why he's stuck with it for so long.
My experience with these, when I started shooting photography, I never shot with point and shoots. I never wanted point and shoots until Fuji came out with the X100. The price point was about the same as what it is now. It was about $1,100. This is late 2011, maybe 2012-ish. And so I had a wedding client, and after the wedding, as a gift, they sent me a $1,000 gift card to B&H.
I need your
No
clients.
joke. And so I go, what am I going to do with this? And the Fuji had just come out. I go, I know what I'm going to do with it, because it was only out of pocket. It was only going to cost me $150, $200 max.
The dream.
And it showed up, and I go, if it's, if I don't like it, I'll sell it, make my $1,000 back, whatever. So that's why one part of the reason that this has sentimental value to me, right? Because it was that client.
It's a great gift.
The second part of it is the packaging
Get ready
of this.
For this.
The packaging for this thing is insane, the way that it showed up. So comes in a box like this, and you open it, and it's literally...
It's like silky.
Yeah, it's got silk. It's got, like, the new ones don't come with this. And here's the original camera.
Super impressive.
And it looks very much like the one
X100V.
now. Like, it's the same thing. Lens is the same, but the back is a little different. You know, they move the buttons, screen's bigger, the new one swivels, so on and so forth. So I used this one and literally fell in love with it. Like, it's the aluminum body, like it has weight to it. The pictures, even though I think the original one has a 12 megapixel camera or a sensor, it was slow focusing. It wasn't one of those cameras that you just point and just burst. It was one of those things you have to put thought into the picture. Almost like film. The battery on this one lasted so little, so when we were shooting, like, I had to shoot
2011.
quickly. I had to shoot so quickly.
Batteries have come a long way.
I used this one, so I started taking it on vacations, and I noticed, and at the time I was shooting all Nikon, I felt that I shot so differently with this that it became like my camera to go to.
Differently, like intentionally, or just like
differently,
simple?
that I was putting more thought into the pictures.
You're
and I
stuck
feel
with
the
a focal length.
you're stuck with the focal length, so you have to figure out your composition, you have to figure out what you're doing. And I feel the same way about the X100V, and I'm sure it's the same with the Leica, because it makes you feel like the camera has soul compared to your Sonys and compared to your Nikons and whatever. And not that those things are great not great cameras, but there's just something about the pictures that come out of these that just made me fall in love with them. So that's why I used this one for a few years, and in 2020 I bought the X100V. And I love this camera, and this is my vacation camera. So for example, we went to Disney with my family in 2014, and I used this, and I make albums every time we go somewhere.
Like physically print
like
albums,
physical
right?
print album. I get them through Blur.
Yes. Okay.
Nothing fancy, but you know, you do an image wrap, you design a logo for the front. They don't live digitally. It's like somebody comes over.
Lost, right? Like,
it is.
So much of
not
what
many
we're
people
doing
do
is
that
on the phone and just lives in iPhoto or Lightroom.
And you just
So
show
it's
it on your
important.
phone. So it's different.
Absolutely.
Like print is print.
Couldn't
I
agree more.
live for print. So I hadn't got a chance to do a family vacation with this one. So recently we went to Istanbul for 10 days, and I didn't think I was going to capture it the way I captured those vacations. I came back and I had enough images that I took with this to make a 77-page album.
Holy crap. Because how many photos did you take?
I think probably over 10 days.
It was
probably like 1,200, 1,300.
And mind you,
And it came out amazing. I loved it.
I think what's funny is like, so we're here on a photo trip, but fun fact, my wife is actually just off camera over there. When you throw in people who aren't passionate about photography, it also complicates the shooting process, right? In the sense that you kind of need to be quick. What
I learned from like shooting weddings for 15 years is you have to shoot as if you're a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
You don't pose people. You capture the moment. You see what's happening, and if you see something, you just go. Not necessarily pose them, where you just look at them and go, "Hey, look at here," but you have to have your camera ready and shoot right away. And I think those are the portraits that mean something because they're in the moment. You can tell they're not posed. You have more thought to put into them. And if you look at any of my travel pictures for portraits and things, like I don't want to say street photography because I don't do as much street photography as others. But like portrait stuff, I look for moments that happen while everything else is happening, not necessarily trying to set up a moment. I think people get caught up in the fact that they want to set up something they see in their head. Don't do that. Yeah. Don't do that.
No, I love that. And I've always loved your work. So that's a great way to describe it, right? Is just catching things in the moment. Yeah. So
and how you see the light.
The light. Ugh. And not to mention, he's a little bit OCD.
I'm OCD with light. I have to have perfect lines. I like harsh light. And my favorite light in the last few years has become the harsh light a few hours before golden hour. Yeah. Not during the day, but you know, let's say sunsets at 7 o'clock. Golden hours, 6 to 7, let's say. Yeah. So between 3 and 5 has become.
When no one wants to be out.
When no one wants to be out. So those are the times where the sun is kind of angled.
I was going to say. So
you have longer shadows, and you get perfect lines, and you put people in line. It's literally my favorite time to shoot, and in the mornings too, I guess. But that's a different kind of light.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like mornings. I like afternoon light.
Yeah, afternoon light, not afternoon delight.
No, we had a lot of Turkish delight though. Brought some home. Had a great time.
It's great. So, I picked up this Leica December of 2022. Not a terribly long time with this camera, but in the short amount of time.
But it's a beautiful camera.
It's just.
It's so pretty. I know.
And so what's funny is getting his reaction, having shot with these for so long. Like, he picked it up and he goes, oh.
Yeah. It's heavy.
It's heavier, right?
And I don't know, and this is just my opinion. I will spend the money for this on a Sony or a lens versus a personal camera because this, when I bought it, was only $1,200, $1,300.
Right.
I don't have insurance on this. I have insurance on the rest of my stuff. I feel like if I had that, I have to have insurance on it.
And that's a great point.
And I banged this, and I've dropped this.
You can barely get the battery out, right?
I've dropped this to a point where the battery point doesn't open. Like I have to either bang on it or put a butter knife to open it up. And I don't care. I love it.
No, and I think that makes it even more truly everyday, right?
But if I did that to the Leica, I would. I don't know.
A brick, because that's what I did.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
For the money, I can't do that to a camera that cost 4 times the amount of this.
So part of my purchasing decision, and I completely agree with you. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is an absurdly, ridiculously expensive camera. And I was not a Leica shooter before this, but most of y'all said once you start buying Leica, it's like. So don't start.
And I read somewhere, and I think I saw in another video, they said that just the lens on this camera if you wanted to buy it for a Leica, it's like a $5,000 to $6,000 lens.
Yeah.
So when you buy this camera, you're not just buying the camera, you're just getting a free camera when you buy the lens, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't want to make me spend $5,000 on a camera.
I hear you. So
that's my daily.
When I was in this, like, looking for one of these,
I know.
you can't
find one of these right now. I bought this in 2020. I bought this 3 years ago when it first came out.
Yeah.
I walked into a store and I go, do you have one? They had 6 of them sitting up there. I just go, I'll take one. Yeah. And I took it. You can't find them.
Even used. I think
Thanks
they're
to
like
TikTok.
$2,200 or
stupid.
Something like that. So in my mind, I was like, I can't justify getting this camera for $2,200. I ended up getting this used off B&H. Actually, I think it was open box. It was an open box item, B&H, $5,400.
Oh, God.
But to your point, not only are you getting the glass in here that is absolutely insane.
Beautiful.
I don't have a macro lens. So I've actually really been interested to flip this into macro mode.
Yeah.
I've been able to get some
You can get pretty
shots.
close to this, but not macro.
Right.
But this, the minimum focus distance for this one is better than I think my 35-1.4 that I have on my Sony.
We're out in the Big Bend region right now, and I think what will be really interesting too is I think the look from each of these is going to be so unique.
We can do that.
Try to keep them as consistent with settings as we can, just to take a look, right? Because if you're curious, like, what is the difference? Because there's a million videos on that, but it comes down to what are you actually going to pick up and use?
I didn't touch this camera for about 1.5 years. And then we were going to Istanbul, and I was thinking about, I'm going to bring Sony this, I'm going to bring this lens. I go, why am I doing this?
He texted me and he goes, I'm only taking my X100V.
I said, I'm just going to take the Fuji, and I'm gonna live with it. First time in Turkey, first time in Istanbul, but it became my camera. And it's just like the Sony, where you can send the pictures from the camera to your phone. But yeah, I love this camera. I love this thing, and I don't regret one bit taking it to Istanbul, because it forces you to shoot in a 35mm crop. It forces you to see things, and if you are seasoned enough, and if you know what to look for, it's just going to be an extension of what you're doing versus, you know, shooting with your iPhone or whatever it is. You get questions of, if you're good with your camera, it doesn't matter what you're shooting with, it's whatever you have on you, right?
100%.
It's just a matter of how you see things.
Totally.
So
couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
So now you know my story about this.
I do love your story. So I mean, what a story. Like, maybe one day I'll have a client.
Now you know the sentimental value of this. It's amazing.
As he throws it around.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's lens cap. No, but thanks for watching, and pop a comment below if you have experience with the OG, right? Like Ben here, or the Leica, or even the X100V. Tell us your thoughts, because I think ultimately what we've landed on here is
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No.
As long as you are using the tools that you have at your disposal, being creative. And
you can pixel peep all you want, but if you're creative enough, you can use anything. And I think there's people that prove that all day long, where they put crappy little disposable camera lenses and they put them on their Sonys and take pictures. And I've seen, I think that's cool. I don't have the patience for that, but I think it's amazing.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Do us a favor, right? If you like this type of video, hit the like button. Even better, do the subscribe as well to get more awesome content like this. But Ben, thanks for joining.
Love you.
Love you too, man. We'll catch you on the next one.